If you were expecting some brilliant conclusion to this series of challenges, goddamn am I happy to disappoint. Sigma is, of course, a headache. That goes without saying, seeing as he's nearly his worst in this game already. All told though, nothing's going to trump the absolute travesty I had to trudge through coming up to this last segment. His first form is now a callback to the Yellow Devil, and his second form is, well, it's practically identical to a battle using the dash. There is one last fuck you to remind me how stupid this whole charade is, and that's through virtue of not one, but 3 overhangs to headplant into on the final climb. Still, considering previous nonsense, I'll take anything where the attempts still number in the tens and not the hundreds. The boss refights were enough for me. Now that this is over with, it probably begs the question of being worth the time. I expected this to be a friendly distraction to keep me busy after the absolute terror of Act 6, maybe to kill a few weeks at best. Instead, it ended up taking 3 solid months, mounds of frustration, countless dead ends, experimenting, whining to every freak half as crazy as I am about the series to come up with ways to circumvent the heavy amount of impossibilities so much restriction left me, and a complete reinterpretation of each game's mechanics and their usual methods. As always, that last point is exactly what justifies going through with it all, at least to my less than reliable mind. Like I've stated too many times in the past, what draws me back to this series over and over again is the fact that it lends itself to such a wide open approach. There are countless fashions with which to mow through a Mega Man game, long after the typical appeal is worn off. That's what keeps lunatics like me fans even when repetition starts to show itself and you run out of ways to exploit what you're given. There's something to the basic but potent nature of each game which allows people to limit themselves, or discover a new spin on their tried and true formula, no matter how often they play through. I suppose part of that is a standard which extends to most classic platformers. That's why you see a person who's on their 50th damn playthrough of a 1-hour game still enjoying themselves, and still finding something to appreciate, even if it's through something as small as discovering a quirk in the physics or a property to something you'd never known before. Simplicity can be a pretty visceral thing. The best examples of more modern platformers and adventure games, no matter how complicated they become, keep the spirit of that simplicity in mind. Now, that's not to actively contradict what I usually say about the importance of expanding upon a concept or reimagining one entirely. It's just to say that there's always going to be a draw to the open-endedness these sorts of rudimentary systems can offer you. As far as my own obsession over this series in particular goes, it falls back to the fact that the series lends itself to the notion of restriction better than most others I can think of. This isn't necessarily a popular draw, but it's a big one for me. It complements the flexibility. No matter how far you push the standard of what's available to you, Mega Man games as a whole allow you to go the opposite route by completely limiting everything you have at your disposal, which exposes new challenges and really bolsters the timelessness of each game's appeal. If you're the sort who likes seeing how far something can be pushed, of course. This is a sort of unspoken draw you can see in things like Super Metroid or Zelda titles, even though they're of a decidedly different style. There's a drive to see how far a game can be pushed, and people have discovered countless workarounds and tricks to allow one to skip as many upgrades or benefits as possible in those games, even though objectively there's not much point to it. It's just a basic desire to force new challenge and new charms out of your favorite games. It's the sort of thing that keeps them from getting stale, even beyond their obvious and concrete strengths. Of course, considering the lengths with which I'm taking this particular series to, that's probably more a testament to personal insanity than it is widespread draw, so I think I'll shut up now. To completely unromanticize it, I guess Mega Man appeals to the masochistic OCD in all of us. Aww. Well, anyway, that wraps up another rant and another odyssey. Maybe now that I've done everything I can think of to this series, I can expand my horizons a little. So, until the next Mega Man LP, this is Hyde Beast telling himself to get a fucking clue. See you around.